All right, let's talk about Trump and the drone strike he ordered on the top Iranian general. Now, there's so much we can get into, and with this subject, we can get into Trump foreign policy, about how he has escalated tensions with Iran, how he got out of the Iranian nuclear deal for no reason when they was abiding by the deal. We could talk about some in the media trying to ratchet up war and cheerleading for it. We could talk about Mike Pence bringing back the old 9/11 trick. Because what I mean by that, during the war in Iraq, you had Dick Cheney claiming that Saddam Hussein has something to do with 9/11. Now, Pence is saying that this general has something to do with 9/11. Um, we have good and bad news. The good news is, I think a lot of the American people right now are sick of war, and we went through this before. So, a lot of people are smarter than they were back during the time period of the Iraq War and the Bush administration. However, you still have people following those same bags of tricks. And unfortunately, I think some people will get fooled by it because the Trump administration and Secretary of State Pompeo are trying to claim that there was immediate American targets, and that's why they had to do the drone strike without approval for Congress. And that's another issue too. We can get into that as well. But what I really want to talk about right now is war and how people think about war and just the value of human life in general. A lot of people think about war as a video game. And to demonstrate my point is this. There was an episode of Black Mirror, if anybody watched Black Mirror. Um, Great show, by the way. I recommend doing that. But it was an episode where it was an enlisted personnel, somebody that was in the army, and in this reality, they had inserts in their eyes. So the people that they was going to war with, they literally saw them as monsters. So they can do unspeakable crimes to them because he wasn't really killing humans. And I feel like this is what happens in real life as well. Because when you look at people as the others, you dehumanize them. You don't look at them the same as you look at somebody that you consider your own kind. And that happens a lot. And it's just not the US that do this. Most countries that go to war use the same tactics. So I want to change this because we definitely got to think about this differently because there's real life consequences to this. I was in the Air Force and I worked at the Department of Veterans Affairs dealing with disability claims. So actually seeing the effects of war. Because when I listed, it was right before the Iraq War started, right after 9/11. Thankfully, I didn't go to Afghanistan. I didn't go to Iraq. I was in the Middle East. I was in Qatar. I was in Kyrgyzstan. But being in the Air Force and working at the VA, I got to know a lot of veterans. I got to see the effects, the mental and physical effects. Because dealing with the disability claims, I had to deal with claims where people was missing limbs, how people had PTSD, having nightmares, having trouble sleeping. And this is the type of stuff people don't think about. And we're not even getting into the casualty of lives of the civilians in the countries we bomb. In Iraq, there's reports from anywhere from hundreds of thousands to over 1 million people that died in Iraq, not to mention the thousands of US soldiers that lost their lives. So, war should absolutely be the last resort. And too often, people just see it as a game because they feel like it doesn't affect them. So, another thing that happens is with these drones as well. People see it as more humane because we don't have boots on the ground. But these drones is vicious. Think about this. People are losing their lives through bombs. Do you know how horrific it is for people to get blown up? That's what drones are, is bombs. Yes, it's unmanned aircrafts, but there's real people on the other end that losing their lives. And a lot of times it's not just the intended targets, it's not just the bad guys, it's not just the terrorists. Innocent civilians get killed in these strikes. You have things like double taps where they bomb. People come to help the bombing victims or clean up, and another drone will come and bomb again. So these type of tactics is not making us safe. It just breeding more resentment. So a lot of people, and the sad thing is people don't even know about this. A lot of people don't. People that watching this right now, most of you probably do, because you probably in politics, but the general public don't know about this. It's not their fault because the media rarely report on incidents like this. And also one last thing too, that I hope change your mind and let you view war a little bit differently. The type of people that are listed in the military usually are on the poor end of the economic spectrum. For me, I enlisted because I wanted some immediate money because I didn't have no money and educational benefits. So my time in the Air Force, I met Air Force personnel obviously, but I interacted with people in the Army as well. So most of the people I met grew up on the poor side of the economic spectrum. They was looking for opportunities. It might not have been opportunities in the city they was in. They was trying to get away from their circumstances. So again, it's people, poor to middle class people that suffer in these wars because that's the majority of the people that's going to be on the front lines. That's the majority of people that's going to be in the infantry. It's going to be people from what they like to call urban environments. A lot of black people, like 29% of the army is black. And to be fair, too, there's rural white people, a lot of poor rural white people that enlist as well. So these are the people that's going to suffer and going to bear the consequences of the war. They're going to bear the consequences of getting killed. They're going to bear the consequences of having to use the VA afterwards with filing for disability claims. And if this really is a war with Iran, it's going to be worse than Iraq. And this administration like to cut. Are there going to be enough VA personnel to handle the claims that going to come through? These are type of things people don't think about. So I just want to bring that perspective as well. And I'm definitely going to get into the specifics of this case as well. I'm going to get into the specifics of Trump and his idiotic foreign policy, but I can say that for another video. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, share the video. Peace.